Today I want to talk about changing your starting lineup. It's been a touchy situation every time I bring it up with my fellow coaches, but I'm going to explain to you why it works for our program. So changing your starting lineup, think about it. Every single game, you have a new starting five out on the floor. To a lot of coaches, that's kind of a murky subject to talk about. Every time I bring it up, I'm always ruffling somebody's feathers. And I don't mean to do that. I'm just bringing up a different, unique idea, an idea that is in favor of the kids. Now think about this. Let's say you're on a team, any sport really, and you know that you're going to get the opportunity to start a game. Maybe, obviously, something you want to start in a position that you're comfortable in, but you know that you may not start every game, but you know you're going to get your opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, you want to make sure that you are ready to make the best of it. Or, imagine on the flip side, what about if you know you're never going to start? What about if you tell your parents, don't bother coming, I'm not going to play tonight. Oh, we're playing a good team tonight, it's going to be a good game, it's going to be close, but I'm not playing tonight, so Mom, Dad, don't bother coming. It tears me up inside when I hear that. So what I started doing, I want to say 2005, I started doing this. I started changing my lineup every single game for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to make sure that I instill confidence in these kids. That has got to be priority number one. Confidence. Confidence in the fact that I'm confident in them, that they can do it, but I'm also confident in the fact that I know what I'm doing as a coach and I've done my job on my side. So therefore, I'm confident in what I've taught you to do. Now it's up to you, kiddo, get out there and do it. So the confidence part needs to be part of it. Are you confident in that kid? And if you are, that's great because you've obviously done your job as a coach. Are you confident as a coach that you are able to teach them what they need to know? So when they step out on the floor, you're confident that they know the plays, they know their job, they know what they're supposed to be doing. While on the other end, from the kids' standpoint, it makes them feel like an asset to the team. I can't tell you how important that is. Heck, even if you're a part of a big company, you don't want to feel like the little person on the totem pole. You don't want to feel unimportant, used. You want to feel like you are an asset to the team. And the only way you're going to do that is if the coach gives you an equal opportunity. Now, people think that starting means that you're going to get the majority of the playing time. No. That's not what it means at all. Maybe it's the first quarter, maybe it's the first 2 minutes of the game, whatever it is. But you give them that opportunity to get a good jump on the game. Now, for whatever reason, in the first couple of minutes, they don't do well, they make some mistakes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we can make a substitution, but you gave them the opportunity. You said, here, kiddo, here's your opportunity, get out there and do it. And if they don't do it, it's kind of on them. Parents like it too as well, surprisingly enough. Okay. Parents like it because they know their kid's getting an equal shake. They know that their kid's going to get the opportunity to prove themselves. Now, whether or not the kid actually comes through and does that, you'd be surprised what can happen when you give a teenager an equal opportunity. Boy, I wish I would have had the opportunity to do that. If I'd have said, get out there and do your thing, I would have been ready, I would have been prepared. It's a different story for me. So that's why I know I want that to happen for my kids. It's a unique situation to bring up, but I'm telling you what, if these kids know that they're going to get the start, if they know they're going to get the opportunity, I think they're going to be a little bit more prepared when they go out there in the game. What it also does is it makes practice a little more competitive, chippy, if you say so. Because if you're making up your mind on how the starting lineup is going to change next game, let's say in 2 nights from now we have a game and I don't know who's going to start. Let's see it out here in practice. Boy, oh boy, we're going to be going at it. Because I want that playing time. I want that opportunity. So I'm going to be fighting just as hard against other people to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I'm prepared for that when that happens. But on the flip side, if we just have starters and non-starters, these non-starters are not going to try very hard because why? Because they know they're not going to play in 2 nights. So why should they try hard? Now, coaches trying to feed this stuff to them saying, hey, if you work hard, you blah. How about you just give me an opportunity to prove myself? People say, and practice is a proving ground. It absolutely is. But let's be real. How many coaches actually change the starting lineup? How many coaches actually change when it comes to their personnel and their team? They might say everyone's got an equal opportunity at practice. Doesn't necessarily mean they always mean it. So if you're here at our program, our policy is it changes every game regardless. Maybe it's a whole new set of 5, or maybe it's just 1 or 2 people that it's changed in it, but either way, it's a different combination of kids. There is no hierarchy here. So if there's hierarchy, now there's kids that feel entitled because, they know they're gonna start. So therefore, maybe they don't have to try as hard as practice. And then there's those kids who know they're not gonna start, and why should they try hard at practice? But when it's a policy to say, every single game, it's going to change. Now for me, the girls on my team have told me that they prefer to know right before game time. In the past, I've told them maybe the day before or maybe the morning of or whatever it was. And what happened was I think it psyched them out a little bit too much. And again, this is just my team. It psyched them out a little bit too much because then they got to thinking about it too much. So for us, I tell my starting lineup right before we go onto the court, right before they go into warm up on the game. So as they're warming up, they know who's starting. But that's because it just throws them right into the scene. It doesn't give them time to dwell or think on it, and then they get the game time and they freeze or whatever the case is. So lots of positives. And in my book, from my experience of doing this since 2005, the positives completely outweigh the negatives. Now, you're gonna hear some kids, it happens where some kids are not okay with that. They're not okay with the starting lineup changing. And in my experience, it's very, very rare that has happened. But in my experience, it's because those kids don't want to share their playing time. Okay? Sorry, you're getting an equal chance just like everybody else. Now again, an equal opportunity does not mean equal playing time. A lot of people get that confused. It doesn't mean equal playing time. Sure, if you're gonna produce, you deserve to be out on the floor. Because not everybody produces every night. Think about it, we all have off nights, and we can't expect a kid to be on every single night. There are some elite athletes, sure, they can do that, but these kids are teenagers. We can't be expecting them to do that every night. Again, like I said, I know this may ruffle some feathers with some of you coaches, but I'm telling you right now, especially at the younger age levels, these kids are not going to learn if they don't get out on the court and make mistakes in the real game. I'll leave you with one example right here, a relatively example that I like to use with my team. A couple years ago, my wife got LASIK surgery, and I got to watch them do that. The doctor took a scalpel and cut my wife's basically eyeball, the top of her eyeball, and peeled the top of her eyeball back. Now, when I saw him do that with a hand and a scalpel on both of my wife's eyeballs, the first thing that came to my mind was, how many times has he screwed up doing that? Because you know that there's no possible way that he did that perfect the first time that he did it. He may have screwed up. Maybe he did it at practice on a cadaver or something, and maybe he had to practice and get good at it, obviously doing the real thing, but there's no way that he did it right the first time and has been doing it right all along. At some point in time, when he first started, he had to screw up. And you have to screw up on the real thing. That's the only way you're gonna learn. Same thing revolves here in the gym, on the court. There's no way that these kids are going to learn if they aren't doing it in real time, on the real thing. Yes, they're gonna screw up. You have to swallow that pill. They're going to screw up. You have to be able to, as a coach, look at them and say, at a kid, that's all right, fix it next time. And not just sub them out. We're talking about confidence here. Confidence as a coach that you can endure, you can help your team endure the mistakes that are gonna come along, and you can help that kid endure through the mistakes and lead them through those mistakes and making sure that they know that they can grow as a basketball player. So, in closing, changing the starting lineup, a lot more pros than there are cons.